Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel Tinnitus Relief. It's your host here, and today we're diving deep, like really deep, into a topic that is absolutely crucial for understanding what's going on in your ears and in your head. Now, when you hear that ringing, buzzing, hissing, or whatever unique symphony is playing in your ears, it's easy to think of it as just tinnitus. But the truth is, there's a whole spectrum of experiences out there, and understanding the different categories can be a really important step in figuring out potential causes, management strategies, and even just feeling a little less alone in what you're going through. So, grab a cup of tea, settle in, because we're about to break down the key distinctions: subjective versus objective tinnitus, and then we'll explore the world of tonal versus pulsatile tinnitus. Trust me, this might sound a bit technical, but we'll keep it clear, relatable, and hopefully really insightful. This is a fundamental way to categorize the condition based on whether only you can hear the sound, or if someone else, like a doctor, can potentially hear it too. This, by far, is the most common type of tinnitus. In fact, the vast majority, we're talking around 99%, of people experiencing tinnitus have subjective tinnitus. The defining feature here is that the sound you're hearing is generated within your own auditory system or brain. There's no external sound source causing it. It's a phantom perception, like seeing spots after staring at a bright light, but for your ears. Subjective tinnitus can manifest in an incredible variety of ways. For some, it's a high-pitched ringing like the aftermath of a really loud concert. For others, it might be a buzzing, hissing, clicking, roaring, whistling, or even a complex mix of sounds. The pitch, loudness, and character of the sound can vary greatly from person to person, and even fluctuate within the same person over time. Because it originates internally, the list of potential culprits for subjective tinnitus is quite extensive. Some of the most common include noise-induced hearing loss, NIHL. This is a big one. Exposure to loud noises, whether it's from occupational hazards, concerts, or recreational activities, can damage the delicate hair cells in your inner ear. This damage can then lead to the brain misinterpreting signals and creating the perception of sound. Age-related hearing loss, presbycusis. As we get older, natural changes in the inner ear can also contribute to tinnitus. Believe it or not, a simple blockage of earwax can sometimes cause or worsen tinnitus. Ear infections and middle ear problems. Inflammation or fluid in the middle ear can affect hearing and potentially trigger tinnitus. Head and neck injuries. Trauma to the head or neck, including whiplash, can sometimes lead to tinnitus. A long list of medications, including some antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, like high doses of aspirin, and antidepressants, can have tinnitus as a side effect. This is definitely something to discuss with your doctor if you suspect a medication might be involved. Stress and anxiety. While not a direct cause, stress and anxiety can often exacerbate existing tinnitus or make it feel louder and more bothersome. It's a bit of a vicious cycle. Problems with the jaw joint and surrounding muscles can sometimes be linked to tinnitus. In some cases, subjective tinnitus can be associated with conditions like Meniere's disease, multiple sclerosis, or thyroid disorders. It's important to rule out any underlying medical issues, especially if your tinnitus is new or accompanied by other symptoms. Because the sound isn't coming from an external source, but rather from within the individual's auditory processing system, there's no physical sound wave for someone else to detect. It's a neurological phenomenon. Now, this is much rarer, accounting for only a small percentage of tinnitus cases. Objective tinnitus is fascinating because the sound you're hearing is actually generated by a physical source within your body. In some cases, a healthcare professional might be able to hear it too during an examination. There's a real, physical sound being produced, usually from blood flow or muscle contractions near the ear. Objective tinnitus often presents as a rhythmic pulsing or whooshing sound, often in sync with your heartbeat. This is what we'll later categorize as pulsatile tinnitus. It can also sound like clicking, popping, or a fluttering noise caused by muscle spasms. Because there's a physical sound source, the causes are different from subjective tinnitus. This is a common cause of objective, pulsatile tinnitus. It can be due to narrowing or irregularities in blood vessels near the ear can cause the blood to flow turbulently, creating a sound. These are abnormal connections between arteries and veins, which can lead to unusual blood flow and sounds. Elevated blood pressure can sometimes make the sound of blood flow more noticeable. Increased pressure within the skull can sometimes cause pulsatile tinnitus. Muscles in or around the middle ear or the neck can sometimes spasm, producing clicking or fluttering sounds. Palatal myoclonus, spasms of the muscles in the roof of the mouth, can also cause a clicking sound in the ear. In some cases, severe TMJ issues can produce audible clicking or grinding sounds that the individual and sometimes even a doctor can hear. Rarely, benign tumors in the middle ear or blood vessel tumors near the ear can generate audible sounds. Because the sound originates from a physical vibration or flow within the body, if it's loud enough and the doctor uses a stethoscope placed near your ear, they might be able to pick it up. This is a key diagnostic difference from subjective tinnitus. If you experience objective tinnitus, it's particularly important to seek medical evaluation. Identifying the underlying cause is crucial, as some of these conditions may require specific treatment. So, to recap, the first big distinction: subjective tinnitus is the sound only you hear, originating within your auditory system or brain, and it's far more common. Objective tinnitus is a sound caused by a physical source in your body that sometimes a doctor can hear, and it's much less common but often requires further medical investigation. Now, let's move on to another important way to categorize tinnitus, which often falls under the umbrella of subjective tinnitus, although pulsatile tinnitus can sometimes be objective. This classification focuses on the nature of the sound itself. This is likely what most people think of when they hear the word tinnitus. Tonal tinnitus is characterized by the perception of a relatively continuous sound with a defined pitch or frequency. Often high-pitched, like a pure tone or a sine wave. Clear, often high-frequency sound, like air escaping or static. A lower-pitched, often electrical-sounding tone. Short, repetitive sounds. The sound in tonal tinnitus is usually perceived as constant or fluctuating in intensity but maintains a relatively consistent tonal quality. It's not typically rhythmic or in sync with your heartbeat. Tonal tinnitus is strongly associated with the damage to specific hair cells in the cochlea, often translates to the perception of specific tones. Similar to noise-induced loss, the gradual degeneration of hair cells can lead to tonal tinnitus. Certain ototoxic drugs are more likely to cause tonal tinnitus. These can often amplify the perception of tonal tinnitus. As the name suggests, pulsatile tinnitus is characterized by the perception of a rhythmic sound, often described as a throbbing, whooshing, or beating sensation in the ears. A key characteristic is that this sound is frequently synchronized with your heartbeat. Common descriptions include like the sound of blood flowing, a rhythmic thumping or beating, a pulsating sensation often in time with the pulse, if caused by muscle spasms it can be rhythmic. The rhythmic nature, often in sync with the pulse, is the defining feature. This is a crucial distinction from the more continuous sounds of tonal tinnitus. Potential causes, as we touched on earlier, these can be objective. This is the most common category of causes for pulsatile tinnitus. Conditions like pregnancy, anemia, or hyperthyroidism can increase blood flow near the ears, making the pulse more audible. Narrowing of arteries, atherosclerosis, or abnormal blood vessel formations, AVMs, can cause turbulent blood flow. Elevated blood pressure can make the sound of your pulse more noticeable in your ears. Sometimes, issues in the middle ear can affect the perception of blood flow. Increased pressure within the skull can sometimes manifest as pulsatile tinnitus. Spasms of muscles in the middle ear or surrounding areas can sometimes create rhythmic clicking sounds. Because pulsatile tinnitus can often be linked to underlying medical conditions, especially vascular issues, it's generally recommended to seek prompt medical evaluation to identify the cause. We've explored the fundamental difference between subjective, the sound only you hear, and objective, a physical sound source that might be audible to others. And then we delved into the nature of the sound itself, distinguishing between the steady tones of tonal tinnitus and the rhythmic beats of pulsatile tinnitus. Understanding which type of tinnitus you're experiencing can be a really valuable piece of the puzzle. It can help you and your healthcare providers narrow down potential causes and explore the most appropriate management strategies. For example, if you're experiencing pulsatile tinnitus, your doctor will likely want to investigate potential vascular issues. If it's tonal tinnitus, the focus might be more on hearing protection and managing the neurological response. Subjective tinnitus is the most common, originating internally. Objective tinnitus has a physical source and can sometimes be heard by others. Tonal tinnitus is characterized by a relatively continuous sound with a defined pitch. Pulsatile tinnitus is rhythmic, often in sync with your heartbeat, and warrants medical attention. Have you thought about what type of tinnitus you might be experiencing? Does any of this resonate with your own unique sound? Share your experiences in the comments below. It helps all of us learn and feel more connected. And if you found this deep dive helpful, Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Tinnitus Relief for more detailed information and support on your tinnitus journey. Remember, understanding your tinnitus is the first step towards finding effective ways to manage it. You're not alone in this, and there's a lot of information and support available. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.